Hello everybody. Welcome to the Facebook Live. Can you hear me? Thank you for coming today. Alright, so just like before, I'm not going to do any lecture. I'll just go straight to answering questions if there are any questions. And yeah, thank you, May. So I'll be speaking English because I have friends who are from other countries, so just so everyone's understanding what we are talking about here. And yeah, so finally I know how to show the comments here on Facebook Live. The other Saturday I really didn't know how to do the Facebook Live. I was just winging it because it was my first time doing it. So yeah, you can go ahead now and ask your questions. So you can ask questions about the application process, how it's like teaching in the US, anything at all. Hopefully I can answer all of your questions. Is there anyone here who is already in the process of applying? Good afternoon, Jen, Elisa, Ma'am Candy, May. Thank you for joining me today. So again, ask away. You can type in your question and then everyone will be able to see your questions, by the way. Yes, Ma'am May. So J2 visa holders can do work in the US after they have obtained their EAD, that's Employment Authorization document. That's the authorization to work in the US. So once your J2 is in the US, they can apply for the EAD. It usually takes 3 months for it to be processed. And then they will send you the card. It's a card. And once they have it, they can apply for any work where they qualify there. So they can also teach if they want to. And if they, pass whatever requirements the school is requiring them. So there's no limit to what kind of work the J2 visa holders can do. Unlike for J1, we cannot do other works except for the one we have applied for when we were applying for our visa. So they can teach. If they're engineers, they can do it there as well, assuming they have all the certification that's needed for them to work as engineers there. So yeah, but there are so many different kinds of work J2 visa holders can do there. My husband, before going to the US, he's working as a seafarer. So obviously being assigned in Orlando, he cannot do work, like seafarers work, but he was able to work as an electrician. So an electrician there, apprentice, that's not even like a full-fledged electrician. So he was paid like $16 an hour. Others would do pizza delivery. My husband also did that for a while. He also did maintenance work at a resort. Really, there's so much that they can do if they're not choosy with what kind of work they're wanting to have. So yun po, J2, kailangan may EAD muna. By the way, it's worth like around almost $500 to apply for an EAD. So you will just have to turn in things. The steps needed to apply for EAD is in the website. So it's easy to follow. So you'll make a letter requesting for an EAD, and in that letter, it should include statement that he is not going to work to support the J1 visa holder. It's for, just so he doesn't get bored. Just so he's also developing professionally. Those things can be a reason for getting EAD. And when they have the EAD, they can apply for driver's license, they can get their social security number. Tapos, yung work permit din ng EAD, ng J2, depends on how long the DS 2019 is of the J1 visa. So everything depends also on the J1 visa document. So if your husband or your wife is also a teacher, you can actually apply, both of you, as J1 visa teachers there. So the advantage of both of you doing J1 visa is that once you get to the US, both of you can already start working. Whereas if your partner is coming to the US on J2 visa, they have to first apply for an authorization to work. So that's the advantage. So, but if your partner is also a teacher, you are doubling your power of earning. Say, remember the basic, for instance, the entry level salary in Florida is 47,500. So if both of you are working, assuming you're just entry level, then that's huge amount of money monthly, right? But obviously, if you have more years of teaching experience, if you have master's degree or PhD, then you earn more than 47,500 USD yearly. Your J2 can also be your kid, right? So if your kid is about 16 years old, high school student, your child can also start working if your child wants to work. But again, they have to seek an EAD. Hello, ma'am. If I'm doing direct hiring, no, no. Okay, so yeah, others are suggesting, I saw that suggestion too, to put in zeros. During our time when we were applying, we also did not have our social security number because you cannot really have that if you're not in the US yet and you don't have work permit. So during our time, EPI, that's my visa sponsor, EPI gave us the same social security number. So that's the thing. Ma'am Jesh, maybe did you apply directly in schools? And then I'm sure they have like a form that you're filling out, and then it's asking for the social security number. So what I'm suggesting, if it's not accepting the 000s, then maybe you can contact the school, their email, and tell them that you are a foreign teacher applying. Yes, so that social security number can follow after. So that's the thing with applying directly to schools, right? Instead of applying directly to visa sponsors. So so you can apply for, if you go through visa sponsors first, they already know what to do in case of, in that case, because they already know that foreign teachers really do not have social security number. So that's why they're assigning like temporary social security number. But if you go through the school first directly, what I suggest again, if they're not accepting the 000s in the social security number, you can email the school or school district and explain to them that you are a foreign teacher. Okay, and that your social security number can follow after. Or I'm sure if they have experience with hiring foreign teachers, I'm sure they know what to do for the social security number. So I only hear TPG, and I know that TPG is also a visa sponsor. They have cultural exchange program, so TPG is as legit as EPI, and I think also FACES have the same program. Which one is better? Since I only have experience with EPI, I really don't have a point of comparison. But for EPI, I can assure you that your process will be smooth because they have been in the business for a while now. And in terms of perks, well, EPI they will support you from beginning to the end, even when you're already there, when it's time to go back home to the Philippines. When you're done with your 2-year program, they will invite you back in. If you had good record leaving the US, they will lend you $2,000 if you are successful. When you are in the US, they will give you 3 days orientation. You'll be staying at a hotel with other teachers from different parts of the world. That's for free. They will help you set up your bank account, your phone number, and they will even issue you your phone, the gadget phone, for free, also laptop for free. They will lend you $2,000 just so you have some money to start off, and that's for salary deduction. Okay, what else? If you're also successful, they will reimburse to you the amount you spent on paying for your FCE. So I cannot say a lot about TPG besides, telling you that it's also legit. So you have no worries about that. Okay, so So you can try, so TPG, EPI, FACES, they're all legit. I have met lots of teachers also from those visa sponsors. They are also J1 visa sponsors. Also with EPI, they send teachers to districts that are actually sponsoring H1B visa. So if you're lucky to be sent to those schools after your 5 years, maybe the school can help you, can sponsor you. Like my best friend, she did not have to come back to the Philippines after completing the 5 years because her school absorbed her. Because her school, her district is a sponsor. Compared to my district, they're not visa sponsors. So they were asking me if I could stay, but they cannot make me stay because they're not even sponsoring visa. Because in Florida, I think it's their first, they're really new to hiring teachers on J1 visa. So because of that, they don't know yet the process for being H1B visa sponsors. But there are districts in Florida that are already H1B visa sponsors. I think the one in Duval County, that is in Jacksonville, Florida. They're sponsoring H1B visa. So unfortunately, I was assigned in Orange County District, and they're not sponsoring visa there. So even if they want to keep teachers, they cannot. Even if your performance was stellar, you're the best teacher they have, but if the district is not a visa sponsor, they cannot keep you. And if they really want to keep teachers, they should start working on, processing their papers so that they can be visa sponsors, because the government has a requirement so that a school can become a visa sponsor. And I think it's not just a year for them to process that. I think 2 to 3 years, I have read somewhere. So let me see if there are new questions. Okay, thank you, Ma'am Jesh. Hello po, those who are coming in. Okay, 22 years teaching experience. That's a lot already, Ma'am Lily. Okay, so just to give you an idea, again, you can do the computations in your head for the number of years you're teaching. So, you're lucky because they have increased already the entry-level salary in the US. Most schools did that because they want to attract more teachers, right? Because the locals, they find that the teacher's salary is really low compared to other salary, professional like engineers, doctors, obviously. So what they did in recent years is to bump up the entry-level salary. So for instance, in Florida, the entry-level salary is $47,500. Entry-level means you have at least 2 years teaching experience and you don't have any master's degree. So if you've been teaching for 22 years already, so you will get more than, you'll be at least $50,000 a year. So also if you have master's degree, you can expect higher salary than that. So also teachers, please know that the salary is every other week. So for instance, in our district, our salary is every Wednesday. So if Wednesday next week is salary, the next week after that, no salary, but the next Wednesday is salary day already. So it's not, a long way till your next salary day. So that is why also there are months where you will have 3 times, like salary 3 times, because there are some months that have 3 Wednesdays. Okay, so no new question yet, so I'll just talk about salary more. So there, the contract is yearly. I am sorry about that. Anyway, so like I said, the salary, when you sign your contract, when you get your job offer, the job offer will already include the salary. So that, because it's a job offer, you should be able to decide whether you want to accept the job offer or not, right? So in public schools, you would know exactly how much you will be paid and think about whether you will accept that or not. But I think in other cases, like in private schools, some teachers arrive in the US, they're already teaching, but they still don't know how much they're supposed to be getting. So make sure that before you accept anything, you should know how much you will be earning, right? Because, there's a lot of expenses there. The rent's high, well, depending on what state you're assigned to teach. But it's really important that you know how much you are getting paid before you accept the job, right? So, and also it usually the contract does not involve yet, like if there are any bonuses, those are just the basic ones. Okay, so when you get there, there could be other additional payments on top of the basic one that you have signed. So, but when you get there, it should not be lower. If anything, they should be giving you higher than what you have signed up for. So there, because although in the US there's no such thing as 13th month pay, and like here employers are required to pay 13th month pay. Others are more generous, they're giving mid-year bonus, or there's a Christmas bonus on top of the 13th month pay. In the US it's not required, but there are other payments that they will give you during the year, especially if you are assigned in Title I school. So Title I schools are public schools where the students are from the low-income family. Title I schools get lots of funding. Oh, okay. So, so you are going through an agency. Ma'am, Kimberly. I'm assuming Kimberly is your name. So let me ask you first, have you tried direct hiring before the agency thing? So the MOA is that it's a commitment, like paper, that you are committing to complete the process with them. It means that you cannot back out, simply put. Okay. So you haven't tried direct hiring because you don't know how to do it? Or you feel like going through an agency is faster? Is that why you're going through an agency? I hope you don't mind me asking. Okay, if you don't know how to do direct hire, I have lots of resources in my YouTube channel. If you're not familiar with my YouTube channel, I have a YouTube channel where I upload vlogs that are related to this thing that we are talking about. All right, so this is the... Okay lang, baka sabihin, ay, nagpo-promote. Well, the reason why I created a vlog is because there are so many teachers who are asking me the same things over and over again. And honestly, I just want to help Filipino teachers, because I know a lot of Filipino teachers still did not know that they can apply to work in the US as a teacher without these placement agencies. Okay? So that's the link to the YouTube channel. I have a playlist about teaching in the US, how to look for visa sponsors, how to look for employer. That's direct hiring. So direct hiring means you don't use agencies, because like me and many hundreds of teachers already, we did not go through placement agencies. So what did that do for us? It saved us tons of money. So placement agencies will be asking you to pay them from 300,000 pesos to 800,000 pesos, and you will pay that for 8 months. So can you imagine? That's already something that you could already save for your family. Because what do they do? They would promise that it will be faster. Well, actually, when you do direct hiring, you can live in a year. Like, hiring season starts January, right? So I started my application January. This is direct hiring. So I started my application January. I left for US August. And the reason why it took me January to August was my fault, because, I have extra things to do, because I was a DOST scholar in college. So I have to seek clearance from the DOST first. And then also I was doing my thesis then. Also, I was writing my book. So I was kind of slacking with, completing my papers. But if you are single-minded with teaching in the US, you're already resolved, okay, next school year, I want to teach in the US. So at this point, you should already be starting your papers. I have a vlog also about how to get hired fast. So you can check that out later after this. So you can leave in 7 months, in 6 months, depending on how prepared you are with your papers. And I did not need any agencies. I did everything myself. So of course they will tell you it will be faster if you hire them, because if they don't tell you that, what are they for, right? So also I think it is easier if you go through visa sponsor first before the school, because there are two ways to do direct hire. So again, basic principle of direct hire is you don't go through placement agency, period. So two ways to do direct hire. You go through the visa sponsor directly, or you go to the school directly. No placement agencies. So I think the advantage of doing, contacting visa sponsor first is that they already have the program, and they already have a list of schools that they're connected with. Like for instance, EPI, TPG, FACES. So they already have schools that they're connected with, and they know what are these schools looking for, and then they can just match you. For instance, EPI, I just waited for them to arrange an interview for me. I just waited for email. That's all I did. So they tell you, okay, Sharon, you should turn in now your diploma, have your credentials be evaluated, blah, blah, blah. And then the next thing I know, they have a scheduled interview for me with the school district. And then they even rehearsed me for my visa interview at the embassy, because they really want to make sure that their teachers are going to pass and get that visa, right? So, ma'am, you should try direct hire. Do not sign that MOA. But it's actually up to you. I'm just suggesting direct hire because a lot of people have been successful with it. So imagine how much we have saved. And these agencies will not give you employers. They will not, because most agencies, to be honest, they will just give you links that we are giving in our blogs for free, right? They will just give you links to schools. Okay, look for schools here in this link. Okay, look for visa sponsor from this link. Because agencies, they're not visa sponsors, they're not employers. They are just facilitating your application, and these are things that you can do yourself. So I think some agencies are, starting to learn about these things. I have heard they're kind of lowering the placement fee. One teacher told me she was asked to pay 250,000 pesos. So they're lowering it now because teachers are getting more and more smart, because now the resources are there. There are so many Filipino teachers who have gone through direct hiring who are sharing their experiences. So just like me. So I'm sharing my experience about direct hire because I feel bad for teachers who just wanted to have better lives by working in the US, but then some agencies, they will hook you in, They will promise you it will be faster. We'll make sure you get to the US fast if you hire us, but you can also go there fast by yourself, directly speaking with a visa sponsor or with the school. The thing if you go directly to school, some of them may not be familiar with hiring foreign teachers. So, yeah. I have a vlog, promotion again. I have a vlog about how and where to look for J1 visa sponsors and employers. So it will show you how do you look for schools and see what they're looking for, right? What are their what kind of teachers are they hiring, and how many are they hiring? So maybe I should share links here. So this one, since there's no new question yet, let me just go ahead and put this link for those who are interested. This link is on how and where to look for J1 visa sponsors and employers. So if you have time after this live, you can watch that. Okay, so if you haven't subscribed to my YouTube channel yet, I have a playlist there just about teaching in the US, the application process, where to look for employers, salary information. I have their interview tips. Okay, teachers, other questions? Okay, so when I applied, I was already teaching for 17 years when I applied in the US. So I was there from 2017 to 2022. So I just came back from the US. I am now on my 6th month here in the Philippines. Okay, so for J2, your husband also needs to turn in DS 2019. Your visa sponsor will be the one to send you DS 2019. Okay, if you go through agencies, that's a separate payment. Okay, so don't go through any agencies, guys. Okay, so if you already have a visa sponsor, they will also take care of the visa process of your J2. So I have hang on. So the only difference for J2 compared to J1 visa is J2, they don't have to turn in, the diplomas because they're not the ones who are applying to be teachers there. So, but they still have to fill in the application form, U.S. Embassy. Hello, I'm opening some links. I want to post it on here so you can open it later. Okay, give me a moment. Okay, when you have the time, this video is about frequently asked questions about J2 visa. And in that video, I have links to all the websites you need for your application. Yeah, unfortunately, that's the thing. For H4, if you go there on H1B, your dependent cannot work. So it means you're the only source of income. So your dependent can start working when you already have started your green card application. But you cannot apply for your green card unless you're kind of like on your 6th year on H1B. So H1B visa is also for 3 years, but then it can be extended to 3 more years, so a total of 6 years, right? So for J1 visa is for 3 years and can be extended to 2 more years, so that's 5 years. But the thing with J1 visa is that at the end of the 5th year, you really have to go home unless you have the waiver, right? But for H1B, on your 6th year, you can already start your application for green card if your employer would like to sponsor you. So, Ma'am Eva, I hope I answered your question. So, Ma'am Zenita, okay, so the thing with master's units and master's degree, the rule whether they will count it toward your salary or anything else really depends on the state. So, if in Florida, they don't count if it's not related to your work. But in other states, they count it. Okay? So, if you are applying for states that count the master's degree, master's unit that are not related, then you can have it for FCE. But this is my suggestion. Because the payment for FCE is just one time. It's not like you pay for the bachelor's and then you pay for master's and then you pay for PhD, right? It's just one payment for the 3 TORs. Just go ahead and have them for FCE. That's my suggestion. I have asked my friends. They told me it's just the same payment. So you don't pay extra if you send in your master's, transcript. So I suggest that you go ahead and have it for foreign credential evaluation, just in case you are assigned to teach in states that will count your master's degree, even if they're not related to your teaching position. Ma'am Verlin, I did not work for DepEd. I never worked with DepEd. I was teaching at a training center before going to the US. So, no, I'm not an early retiree from DepEd. But I did meet early retirees there. I worked with Filipinos who retired early. They were also assigned in Florida, so we were batchmates. Some already retired when they applied, so that's a good thing about working in the U.S. They don't care about your age as long as you can still work, as long as you qualify. It doesn't matter what age you apply. So again, early retirees, they can work there. I have worked with some of them. So some of my friends, Filipino friends that I have there, were principals, high school principals with DepEd, like, and they still decided to go work in the U.S. And then they did not want to go home anymore. Because, paperwork is almost negligible there. Unlike here, even when I know I worked in private school before, St. Paul College, there are so many paperworks, right? That's already private school. And then when I came to the US, I was like, wow, in my district, the lesson plan is not even required. It's optional. Of course, we choose not to do it. And however, if you're teaching like core subjects that are state tested, what are state tested subjects? Well, ELA, that's English language, art and arts. Also, biology is the science that has a state exam. I was teaching physics, so yay, I did not have a state exam. Also, math, algebra, it has a state exam. So for those subjects, the teachers are required to have lesson plans. But the good thing is the district already created the lesson plans for them. I'm so sorry. I got disconnected because a call came in and I deleted it and then I went offline. Okay, Ma'am Kimberly. All right, so I don't DS 2019, you're not the one paying for it. It's the visa sponsor that will pay for it. So instead of recommending you to my school, because the school really is not the employer, it's a district. So, but then instead of recommending you to the district, I would rather recommend you to the visa sponsor. That's the best way to go about the process, because if it's a district, they will still ask you to go find your sponsor because they are not visa sponsors. So I would suggest that you try with EPI. That's my visa sponsor. They're sending so many teachers in 4 different states in the US. So they send to Florida, Georgia, South Carolina, and North Carolina. So so this is their website, teachwithepi.com. So that's the website of the visa sponsor that I had, J1 Visa. Again, EPI sent teachers to South Carolina, North Carolina, Virginia, and Florida. So again, Ma'am Kimberly, the visa sponsor is the one that will pay for the DS 2019. If you do direct hire, they will also be the ones to pay for your program fee. So, for instance, if you work with EPI, if that's your visa sponsor, they will not ask you for any amount, not even $1. All of the things that you will be spending for are things that you have to spend for yourself, like your passport, your documents. Okay, so DS 2019 will be, well, how do I say this? When you get to getting the DS 2019 part, it means you already have a visa sponsor. So it will still be paid by the visa sponsor, even you went through placement agencies. So again, I would suggest to just do direct hiring, because you can also ask those who have gone through the same things. They will definitely give you information that you need. Ma'am Kimberly, what's your major? May I ask? So if you were to apply in the US, what teaching position are you planning to apply for? So at this point, if you are teaching STEM classes, so science, math, engineering classes, those are what we can say in-demand subjects. Of course, SPED. But those who are teaching music, PE, they can also apply. But I would say those are not really in-demand subjects, and so it may take a while for them to find a match for you. Some visa sponsors would even tell you right away that they won't be able to find, a match for you because that subject is not in their list of in-demand classes. But there's no harm in trying, because I worked with Filipino teacher who was teaching HOPE. HOPE is like the PE health in the US. HOPE, that's health education and physical education, something like that. So do not, just try. And so that's why if you go through direct hire, you will not spend money unnecessarily. So, okay, so I'm guessing you'll be applying as a science teacher then, right? So it's okay if you're not an education graduate, as long as you can present, you know how they would require for you to take extra courses or bridging programs just so you can be allowed to get the teaching license? That's fine. That is the purpose of doing the FCE, that's a Foreign Credential Evaluation. So they will see if the course or your Philippine degree is equivalent to the education degree that they have in the US. So as long as you have a valid teaching teaching license, because you cannot take the LET if you have not taken the extra courses, right? So yeah. Because that's what those who are applying there as SPED are doing. So a lot of Filipinos were not SPED major in their bachelor's degree, but because they want to get into the US faster, because SPED is, highly in demand, what they did was to do a bridging program, right, for SPED, and then take master's degree in SPED, and then they applied as SPED teachers there. So it is fine that you did not finish bachelor's in education, as long as you have taken the extra courses or bridging program to let you have the teaching license. So your teaching license should be valid. Yeah, so you can apply. Guess you'll be able to show them your teaching license. So like environmental science is one of those sciences that they have in the US. When I was in Florida, 3 teachers of EPI, they are J1 visa teachers. Oh, not just 3. Oh yeah, 3. So there's husband and wife. They're both Filipino. They're in the same school. They're both teaching science. There's another one, a Ugandan teacher, science also, environmental science. That's what they were teaching there. Bridging program. If you already took your LET, it means you have already taken the extra courses needed for you to get the LET. You don't need the bridging program. Bridging program is required for some degrees, for instance, just so they will be allowed to take the licensure exam for teachers. Since you already took yours, it means you don't need it. Because I know those who want to take master's degree in SPED, I know they have to get this bridging program if they were not SPED major in their bachelor's degree. Any more questions? I'm not the best among the best. I was just lucky during that time. There's not a lot of teachers who were applying, because a lot of teachers are not aware of EPI, but now everybody knows about it. Almost, maybe. But I would encourage you to still try, because again, there is no harm in trying. You will not be spending anything at all if you try. So if they tell you, no, we don't have an opening for you yet, okay, try other visa sponsors, but you will never know unless you try. So I highly encourage that you try with them, especially that you are a science major. They even hire, like new, if you've been teaching for 17 years, did I remember it right? 17 years. You have enough experience already, compared with, even if their bachelor's degree is education, but if they're like been teaching for 2 years only, so they're kind of new in the field, I think, your 17 years of experience is a good, like a leverage. So I would suggest that you still try. You will not lose anything if you try. And so yeah, and besides EPI, there are many J1 visa sponsors. You can try FACES if you want, because actually you're not limited. You are not required to just apply in one visa sponsor. You can apply through different visa sponsors at the same time, since anyway you can use your documents many times. FACES, TPG. So again, these are the ones that I'm sure of that are legit. So I should be USA. The FCE should be USA, since you are applying for US schools. So yeah, WES and Spantron are the two famous FCE service providers among teachers. So you can go for these two, WES or Spantron. Make sure to choose USA, and make sure to choose the course by course evaluation. Do you have other questions? So at this point, like, I don't know, it's like exam season there. Bagong mag-winter break, madaming exams doon. Mga state exams. They're so big on exams. In the US, the students have a lot of exams compared to the Philippines. So, and these exams, they affect the ranking of the schools. So schools there have grades. So a school can be A, may grade A, B, C, D. So kapag D ang school, so for instance, for 3 consecutive years, the school receives a D, they will be under the state. So the district will lose control, kind of. So the state will take over, and they will always be in the school observing classes. Admins can be replaced, So that is why the schools are really into these exams, because it does directly affect the standing of the school. So besides the SAT, ACT, you might be familiar with those exams. The SAT, ACT are exams that are needed for if the students are planning to go to college. Yeah, when you are interviewed, they could be asking you about your involvement in, having state exam in your country. You'll be asked. I was asked about that. Like, do you have any experience doing a national exam for your students? And how was your students ranked? So, during my time, wala naman kaming mga national exam. You just have to be honest when you're being interviewed. RCC staffing. So RCC staffing solution. So they're placement agencies. Yeah, I've heard about that. So that's placement agency. So if you go there, if you connect with them, they're not visa sponsors, they're not employers. So they will help you facilitate the application process, but that's still a placement agency. You will still have to pay them placement fees. But RCC Staffing Solution USA is legit. placement agency. I don't know how much they're asking for placement fee. So you can check. I have this link. I'll put it on the comment section. Maybe you want to try this. So instead of looking for placement agency, I would suggest that you spend your time looking for visa sponsors. So I have the link there. That's the designated sponsor list, J1 visa. Those are legit. That's from the USCIS website. So if a company is not on the list, therefore they are not visa sponsors, they're probably placement agencies. Oh, it's so unfortunate. Before I got lost, when I lost my connection, there were like 12 viewers participating. But now when I came back, there's only just 1 or 2. Yes, RC Staffing is a placement agency. That's not a visa sponsor. That's not an employer. Hiring season is around January. Okay, praxis exam. If you are applying under J1 visa sponsorship, many would not require this from you because J1 visa teachers have a different, certification. But if you are applying on H1B, you have to take praxis exam. So if you go there on J1 visa, they may have to waive the praxis exam. Well, the praxis exam is not a requirement for all states. Some states do not require that, including Florida. So when I was there, I did not have to take praxis, but I think they have to take praxis in North Carolina. So you can worry about praxis exam some other time. If you have visa sponsor already, they will tell you the things that you need. So if you need to take the praxis exam, they will tell you, but I am sure you don't need to take it before you go there. Okay, but if you are applying for H1B visa, I'm sure they will require you for teaching certification in that state. That is why it's easier to go to the US to teach on J1 visa. The requirements between the two, H1B and J1 visa, are different. So it's more difficult to obtain H1B visa. It's easier to get H1B visa if you're already in the States, right? Than when you're coming from the Philippines, but it is possible. So again, praxis exam is not required by all states. Some states require it, some states don't. And if you go there on J1 visa, you don't need praxis exam before going to the US. You may be asked to take it when you're already there, like after a year of teaching. Okay, and so by the way, also, the J1 visa is for 3 years, okay? But it does not guarantee your employment every year. So every year, your principal is going to reappoint you. So around January or February to March, the principals will be giving the letter to teachers that they are considering giving you recommendation for reemployment. So not everyone gets reemployed. So the beauty of having J1 visa with EPI, because they're already in the business for a long time and they have 4 states under their belt, they have many teachers. They have many schools they're in contact with. So suppose a teacher was not renewed in their school, they can find for replacement. So some may have to work at a different district the next school year, or even at a different state the next school year. But what's important is that you continue to work in the US. So again, J1 visa is for 3 years, but the contract to work is annually renewed. You don't automatically, get rehired. So that's why you have to do your best, so that your principal will reappoint you each year. And also, you know how J1 visa can be extended to 2 more years, right? It's the high school principal who will also recommend you to get the 2 years extension. So it's very important to do your best in school. Make sure that you are not giving them headache. You know, they understand that in the beginning you are adjusting. They will give you help. Most administrators there are very supportive and helpful. They understand that you are a foreign teacher, you're getting acclimated, so they will give you a lot of help, assistance, because they also want you to succeed. Because it's, you know, difficult to get new teachers each year, so they would rather just train you and give you a chance again for the next school year. So yeah, as long as they're seeing in you that you are doing everything that you could, and that you are not causing, you know, big problems like absenteeism, you're being late often, then I don't think your principal would like to have you back for next school year. So those things. Okay, other questions? Okay, so are there any more questions? Because if there's none, we can call it a day. Do the prospect and parts of eBay really contact our character references? In my experience, so the character references, they you would just need to send the email of those people, and then EPI will send an online evaluation website for them. They just have to answer on that website, and then they will send it to EPI. So that's why actually on my part, I really did not have to send, like, you know, a letter. They just needed the email of these people and then send them the evaluation form. You won't be able to see what they have in there. So I don't think they called them, because they did not say anything like that to me. If anything at all, yeah, I'm sure now. They did not call them. They just told me they were sent that link, the website, where they put in the evaluation form. You're welcome. So again, if you have not subscribed to my YouTube channel yet, I have lots of resources there for you. If you want to know some other information about teaching in the US. So I guess this is it for us today. So thank you again for joining me. If you have any more questions you forgot to ask, you can definitely send me a private message, and I will be glad to answer that. So any more questions? Oh, I see that someone has joined us. Okay, I encourage you to ask your questions. Do not be shy. The last time I went live, we were here until 3:30. I always do my Facebook Live at 2 because that's the time when I'm done with all the chores here. Thank you as well for joining. Any more questions? Do you have any questions about salary? Okay, so if there are no more questions, maybe we're done. We can call it a day. So thank you again. I will have another Facebook Live, like, I think week after this, next week. I'm doing it every other week because the hiring season starts January. So I am expecting a lot of, you know, queries from teachers at this point, because really this is the best time for you to prepare all the documentations that you may be needing, because when you have all the documentations you need, you can complete the application process in one sitting. So at this point, you should prepare your PSA birth certificate for yourself. If you are taking your kids with you, then that's also needed. Make sure to scan them, put them in one folder. Your diploma, transcript of record, marriage certificate if your husband or wife is coming with you, birth certificates. You also need your NBI. Make sure that the NBI clearance you're getting is international. It's good for 1 year, because I know NBI clearance has like an expiration, right? Oh, we have new people coming in, so it's not bye. Therefore, let's continue with our live, because I still want to answer these questions, and yeah, we still have time. Hi, Jem. What's the of passing the TQI? Okay, so if you have the TQI with EPI, and so it means that's already your second interview, right? So because they first do the pre no, what's that? Pre-qualifying interview, something like that, about your credentials. So the next one is the TQI. After the TQI, they will tell you right away if you pass the interview, right? So, okay, when you pass the interview, assuming you are done with all your papers, your FCE, your home ties, okay, then they should be preparing you for, they should already be informing the prospective employers that you are available for interview. So they will be able to view your profile and see if they're a match to what they're looking for. And you should be expecting an email about an interview with a principal or someone from the district, right? So if not, if you still have missing papers, then they won't be able to proceed to looking for an employer for you, because they will first ask you to complete all those documentations, right? So again, whether your application process is fast or slow really depends on how fast you work on your documentation. Okay? So again, Jem, after the TQI, assuming you're done with all your paperwork, you should be expecting a request for interview with someone from the school or the district. Vib, usually what month and departure? Okay, if you're hired, yay, congratulations. Well, if you're hired, so usually, so the school year starts in different months in different states. So in Florida, school year starts earlier than many states. So it starts around second week of August. So teachers start getting to the US around July, because they want you to attend the trainings, the seminars that they have before you jump into having classes. So like for instance, my batchmates in Florida, they arrived there last week of July. You don't want to arrive there too early, because if there's no seminar yet, if there are no classes yet, then you're not earning any salary, but your bills are already starting, correct? So, but to answer the question again, some teachers, depending on where you're assigned, they will start sending you to the US last week of July, but the bulk will be arriving in the US in August, September. Okay? So like I arrived in the US in August 19th. Okay, so Viv, okay na. Yes, May, work on your driver's license. Okay, they will not check if you really know how to drive. You just have to scan that driver's license thing. Okay, so in the Philippines, they're not really strict with it. I studied driving. I spent how much? Like 15,000 for driving class. And then when I took my test with LTO, they did not even test me. Like there's no road test. I just took the paper test. That's in Tagalog. So it's easy to pass the test. So do not worry so much about it. And if there are fixers, I know this is bad. We're not supposed to be, supporting the fixers. But if you just want to get that driver's license, go ahead. Okay. Okay, make that decision for yourself. You are an adult. Should I go with a fixer or not? Really, it's up to you. Because, I have friends there. They have never touched Manibela, but they got driver's license, and it's even professional driver's license. Because you know what, when you get to the US, you will take, why do you have to have your driver's license from your home country? So number one, if you're assigned in a state that's not a big city, you have to have your own car. There's no public transportation there. If there is like Uber, you will, spend most of your salary paying for Uber. Right? So that is why you have to have your driver's license. If you went there without knowing how to drive, you can study there, right? You can study driving there and then get your license there. But your Philippine license can be used for 90 days there. So, well, it depends on the state, but in Florida, you can use your Philippine driver's license for 90 days. And then within that time, you should be applying for your Florida driver's license or wherever state you're assigned. Okay, that's why driver's license is really needed. Even if you're coming with your husband who drives and has driver's license, you still have to get yours. You cannot, tell your visa sponsor, oh, my husband is going to take me to work. No, you are the applicant, so it's your documents they need. So again, I'll just continue the things that you need to scan at this point so that when you're ready to apply by January, you can start now applying. But, if you want to have your application moving fast, make sure that you have all your papers ready. So scan them. Diploma, TOR, this should be original or certified true copies of the original. Diploma, TOR. If you have master's degree, then you have to get the TOR for master's also and PhD. Okay, you have to have the PSA birth certificate, scan them. Marriage certificate if you're coming with your husband. Birth certificate of your kids if you're taking your kids with you. Driver's license, valid teaching license. What else? NBI clearance. For home ties, if you have insurance policy, scan that. Also, you can turn in SSS, membership information thingy. GSIS if that's what you have. Pag-ibig, PhilHealth, those things because, but if you also have insurance with Sun Life or Insular Life or PhilAm, those things, you can turn that in for home ties. If you own properties, land titles, if you have vehicles, the vehicle should be motor vehicle, right? Bicycle not included. So if you own a business, but this title should be under your name or the name of your spouse. Okay, if it's not in English, it has to be first translated to English. Membership proof. I don't know exactly what it's called, but you can ask Pag-ibig or GSIS or SSS. It should reflect that it is yours, also, like, they want the maturity date to be at a later date. Ibig sabihin, hindi pwedeng matured na siya na bago ka pa pumunta ng US. Because those are proof of home ties. Salary entry level is $47,500 in Florida. Other states may be higher, other states may be lower. But in Florida, I know it exactly because I was assigned there. So entry level is 2 years teaching experience, no master's degree, $47,500 yearly. Okay? But in there, you depending on the funding of the district, you will have other like payments on top. So for instance, during Christmas, also after being evaluated, so evaluation there really counts toward your salary. So if you're highly effective, then that's $1,000, $2,000 on top of your salary again. Effective, $1,500. So yeah, the more experiences you have, and if you have master's degree, PhD, then you earn more. But the visa sponsor, because I get this a lot, this question, will my salary be higher if I do EPI? EPI is a visa sponsors. Visa sponsors have no control over salary of the teachers. The salary depends per state. It depends on your experience and credentials. Visa sponsor has nothing to do with it. Oh, for instance, if you also have a credit card, if you have a credit card, you can also scan that. I don't know what the form is called, but yeah. If you also have a loan somewhere, like from a bank, you can also scan that and turn it in as one of your home ties document. So the loan that you should have should not be like fully paid before you even go to the US. Okay? It has to be like you'll be paying that fully when you're already in the US or after the program. Okay, so when you are there, make sure to just do your best. You know, the good thing about Americans is that they're very objective. They they're not so much into small talks, you know, gossiping, politics. There may be some politics for some, but you know. Oh, okay. So I actually have a vlog on interview tips, and on my page, this page, I shared a file on commonly asked questions during an interview. So let me see if I can open it now, so I can have the link here. But I shared it over on my Facebook page, interview questions. But they are so big on knowing if you have routines. You know, they will ask you, how is your classroom like? Suppose I enter your classroom today, what will I see? How do you start your classroom? Something like that. So this is the link. So let me share. So earlier I got disconnected. I am really sorry if you were in that live broadcast earlier and I was, you know, disconnected. Because like I said, I'm new with Facebook Live. I have pressed a button I was not supposed to press. And it got me disconnected. So while I'm looking for that file where I posted the interview questions, again, you can also, if you have time after this live, you can go ahead and watch this one because I made a vlog about interview tips. And in here, I have a link here to the commonly asked questions during an interview. They will ask you, it's common for them to ask, what do you do with disruptive students in your classroom? You know what? For us teachers, really the content of the lesson is not the challenge. It's really classroom management. Okay, so I'll be honest with you. During my first few months there, I was crying every Sunday night because the next day is Monday. I'll face them again. Um, you know, everybody's taller than me. Everyone's speaking so fast. I could not understand them. I would have to ask the student, can you say that again? And then they would, oh, never mind. And they're so straightforward, and you feel like they're being rude to you. But then if you think about it, that's just how they are. You know, that's their upbringing. They are straightforward. They don't put, you know, icing on things that they say. You know how Filipino students, even if they're already cursing you in their brain, they will not curse you. You know, like they will not verbalize that. But in there, some students can be rude. They will say the F word. Okay, and then they will try to intimidate you so that you'll give them good grades even if they did not turn in work. So yeah, and in the Philippines, we are, you know, respectful. We're kind of forced to respect people. There you really have to earn it. They will not respect you just because you're their teacher. They will not respect you just because you're older than them. They don't care if you were a high school principal back in the Philippines. They don't care if you are, you know, this and that. What they do care is what they say in front of them. Okay? So it's not like that anymore. But the biggest thing that you must know is that the student behavior does not necessarily reflect you as a teacher. You know, it's not always about you. It's nothing personal. So after that period, that student that disrespected you, again, is relative. It could be, you know, just a difference in culture, how they interact with someone older than them. They already forgot about that, but you are still sulking. You'll be crying at night, you know, being sad that this student is rude to you, disrespecting you because you're a Filipino. They're being racist to you. No, they already forgot about that. Tomorrow is a brand new day for them. So it's important for you to learn as early as possible that it's not about you always. Don't take things personally. I'm so sorry about that. So yeah. So I have the link here to the commonly asked questions during an interview. So they're big on classroom management. How do you manage disruptive students? How do you communicate with parents? How do you involve the community, the peers, as far as student success is concerned? Also differentiation. If you have a student that's needing, can you hear me? I forgot to wear my microphone. Okay, if you have a student that's needing extra attention, maybe that student has special needs, how do you deal with that in your class? How do you differentiate your lessons so that you're making sure that those who have special needs are able to also have an access to the same opportunity to learn? Yeah, so, okay, thank you, Viv. So I'm so sorry. Okay, so yeah, you know what? That's your biggest challenge there, is really classroom management. And when I was, before coming to the US, my nightmare, my fear as a teacher was to be standing in front of the class with everybody standing, doing, like horse playing, throwing things, at each other as if there's no teacher in front. It happened to me there. Oh my goodness. I was like, oh my gosh, my nightmare coming into life. But, if you work smart, it will not be the same situation the next time, because you have to think about how can you improve this. Because even if you prepare your class, if the students are not managed correctly, there will be no learning taking place, because no one's listening to you. Right? So really, those things. At some point I have regretted going there because I was already settled in my school. I wasn't working with DepEd. I was working at a training center. I was teaching cadets who are training to be chief mates, working on merchant ships. They're maritime cadets, yeah. So discipline was not a problem. And then suddenly I went to the US at a public school at the heart of Orlando, Florida. It's a Title I school. 96% is African American, so some are Hispanics. Seldom would you see there Asians. Asians are in different communities, right? So again, every school there has a grade, A, B, C. When I went there to that school, the grade of that school was D for 2 years in a row. That's why when I joined the school, there were district officers there almost every day. And it's also a common sight to see police officers in campus. So in my school, there were 2 police officers every day. They're on staff. They're really part of the staff of the school. On a police car. Yeah. Do you have any more questions? Come on, do not be shy. Ask away. So you really have to prepare yourself. Remember that if they are rude to you, it's not because they don't like you, but they will really try to intimidate you to get good grades without them turning in anything. So it's really important for you at the beginning of the school year to never skip laying down your rules, never skip establishing routines. Routines are things that are expected to happen in the classroom every single period. Like once they come in, what do? Like in my class, one of the routines is as soon as they come into class, they do the bell work. So that way, as soon as they come to class, they get organized, settle down. There's no time to play. During my first year, I didn't have those routines. I learned that, okay, because I didn't have to do routines where I was teaching before coming to the US, so it was not part of my practice. But then I realized, so next year I should really have routines set. Because, I joined the school already when the classes have already started for like 2 weeks or 3 weeks, because I joined the school kind of late, right? So the school already started second week of August. I arrived in the US August 19th. But then when you get there, you don't go to the school right away. You're not allowed to be around the school. Even if you just want to see, you're curious, how does the school look like? Or anyway, I know somebody there. You are not allowed to be around the campus. You're not allowed to be in school without the district clearance. The district clearance is, after you have done your fingerprinting for criminal record check, also your drug testing. Some district would require TB tests. So when you're cleared with that, after 3 to 5 days, you will receive the clearance, and then you're clear to go to the school. Anyway, your principal should know when you are cleared to go to school. Okay, but normally, the teachers would arrive there a week before classes start, so they can attend the seminars, they can prepare their first 2 weeks of lessons, something like that. But I joined the school kind of already running because the students have been having substitute teachers for 2 weeks before I joined them. So I didn't have time to lay down the rules. I didn't know these things, but now I know. That's why I'm sharing with you. It's very important for you to have clear-cut rules. Make sure to be consistent with it. And when they know you mean business, they will follow. They don't have a choice. So, but then if they know that, if they, can change the rule, bend it, based on what they want to happen in the classroom. So in a sense, they're the ones running the classroom. Well, it's going to be on you, and you will really regret that. So make sure your rules are clear and that you are implementing them. And I don't think there are foreign nationals here, but it's not, you know how in the Philippines, it's also to do sermon to the whole class. Don't do that there. No, because it means, I realized that when you do a group, if you do a sermon to the whole group, there's no individual accountability. But actually, there's just 3 people who are ruining your class. Why are you telling this to all of us? So individual responsibility and accountability is important. So it's really important for you to talk to one student, okay? But do not leave the class. Do not ever leave the class. That's a big no there. Because if something happens, you're accountable, legally even. Okay, so what about teaching license or certification in the state? Do we need to acquire them? Okay, if you are joining the school on J1 visa, you're not required to have this teaching license per state, because J1 visa teachers have a special teaching license. Okay, so but if you are joining the school on H1B visa, I know you are required to have this teaching license already before you join the school, before they even hire you. So you have to take the practice test. You have to get those teaching license certification from those states. Okay, so for us, J1 visa, we went there without, just with our teaching license, Philippines, and then the visa sponsor worked on our teaching license. We just received it. Every year we receive the certificate, and it's renewed yearly. But like I said, if you join through H1B visa, you have to have this teaching certification and license before being hired. So yeah, you know what? There was a time I even cried in school, not in front of the class, okay? So it was block schedules. There are common. Block schedule is when there are testing. So periods are longer than usual. Like for instance, one period could last like for 3 hours. Imagine that, being with that class for 3 hours. I was really exhausted that day. And I was on my last period class, and there were students, that's my most challenging class that time. I really had a bad time. I felt that if I talk, I would cry. So what I did was, I went to the storage, because in my classroom has its own storage. I went inside, because there's like 2, so you can go inside and one more interior like office. And then I called the admin. I told them they have to go to my classroom because I cannot teach anymore because I'm having a breakdown. So, but I did not leave the class. I was still looking because you can see the class through the glass window. So, yeah, they understood that. And then they told me, maybe, are you okay? So they went up to that office, the assistant principal, my coach, yeah. So, yeah, and then they were, consoling me, and then they're asking me, and you know what? It's fine if you will not teach tomorrow. We can get you a sub just to get your, for you to recharge. It's fine with that. So I was lucky to have an admin that's supportive, and they have assisted us API teachers. When we went there, they even have like groceries for us. They know that we were starting there from nothing because we're foreigners. They even have plates, pots and pans for us. They even have, frozen goods because we didn't know where to shop yet. So I was very lucky to be assigned in that school. The admin was really supportive. They would even ask you to send them a list of kids that have been challenging you so much. I sent them a list, obviously. I have to grab that opportunity. They pulled out those kids. So, yeah. So, you know what? As long as they see that you are trying your best, but then you are facing some challenges, as long as you're not giving them headaches like, absenteeism, you're coming to school tardy, you're not even prepared for your class, they will give you all the support that you need because they're seeing in you that you are trying your best. It's just that you're still adjusting, being new to the country, being new in that school. So yeah, I am telling you, even if you have been a seasoned teacher in the US, when you get there, you will really be tested. But you will learn. If you work smart, you'll get better each year. I'm telling you, a lot of Filipino teachers there have been awarded the Teacher of the Year in their school, and then that will become the representative of the school in the district, and they still won the Teacher of the Year in the district, after that in the state. So we can still thrive. I never won those awards. But I'm just so happy that I survived, because I was already thinking about quitting. But then, I'm not a quitter. And I also remember what I said during the time I was applying. I did say there that I really want to know personally if I am a good teacher. So there, I was tested. Why would I quit? I'm now being tested whether I'm a good teacher or not. It's not really for, ego or something, but I personally want to overcome challenges because I know that's going to improve me personally. And eventually, I was doing really well. I was even on TV. I was interviewed on late night news. There's no more, it's on YouTube. So I was interviewed because of my contribution in the physics program of the school. Before coming to that school, they didn't have any physics teacher, so students there were doing virtual classes for physics, and then they found me, and so I helped with, with their physics program. So yeah, I was in the news, I was interviewed, I was also in the several articles there, so I was really happy. Who could have imagined that it would happen to me like that, because I was already thinking about quitting. I was crying every Sunday night, like I told you, because I didn't want to go to school the next day. But yeah. So do you have any more questions? I'm now telling you stories you're not even asking me to tell you. Do you have any more questions? Do you have to speak like the Americans? Do you want to know that answer? Because no one's asking me any questions. Okay. Does it matter if you speak with a foreign accent, Filipino accent? As long as they're able to understand you, people there are used to hearing different accents because, you know, there's so many international people in the US, so they're used to hearing that. But being a teacher, it's important that we are understood, correct? Otherwise, you know, why are you even a teacher? They don't require IELTS or TOEFL. No, they don't. That is why they assess our English proficiency when they conduct the interviews. Especially the first interview that you have, that's their way of testing your communication skills. Again, you don't have to sound like the Americans. It's fine to have accent. It's acceptable because we were not born in the US. So definitely we will have a foreign accent. But you have to show through the communication, through emails, interviews, that you understand them. So how do they know that you have good communication skill? It's not just by accent. Accent is, you know, minor part of communication skill. It's how do you answer the questions? Are you direct to the point? Was your answer related to the question? You know? Yes. Do you want me to share more of my experiences? You know, there was a teacher. I hope he's not watching this. Also EPI. Oh, he cried in front of the class. His students were also my students. So he was teaching science, and his student are my students on a different period. I was teaching math, and then they told me, Miss Agawin, did you know that Mr. Blah blah cried in our class? So they talk about you. So they will talk about you with their, you know, teachers. So yeah, but what I like about them, this good thing about them, they are very objective. They're not showbiz. What you see is what you get. And that, I think, is a good opportunity for us to, you know, show them what kind of teacher we are. Because if they appreciate you, they appreciate you. You know? So they want teachers who really care about them. If they see that, oh, this teacher, she means business. She always has something for us every day. They will start to appreciate you, and you'll be surprised. Oh, everyone's paying attention. Everyone's like, you will hear, you know, from their other teachers that, hey, you know what? My students are saying they're enjoying your class a lot. You know, even if they're not telling you in your class that they like your class, they will tell their other teachers that they're enjoying your class, that you're a good teacher, that you are loved by them. So, but at the same time, if you're not doing good, they will also tell the other teachers, you know? And so there are so many things that you have to be careful. So do not talk about religion, do not talk about politics, don't pray. Okay? They don't allow praying in class. Also, what else? No mentioning of sexuality. So just focus on your lesson. Never leave the class on their own. You know, if you need to go to the bathroom, call somebody to look after your class, and then do your business in the bathroom real quick and then come back. Never ever leave your classroom. And then if there's a student, there's no one else in the classroom, just you and one student, make sure that your door is open. Okay? Never touch the students. So what else? I have a video in my YouTube channel about what to do when they are fighting in classroom. Fighting in classroom. I'm so glad it never happened in my classroom in my 5 years there. Okay, Mom Pink, Isidro, it's fine to have, they can follow you after a year. It's fine. I would suggest if, you know, financial thing is an issue at this point, then go ahead and go to the US by yourself first. And then they can join you after a year. Or I would suggest if your kids are not super young, like there's a baby, so what you can do is for you and your husband to go there first, because at least when your husband is with you, after like maybe after 6 months he can start working, so now there's two of you earning, and then you can save to get your kids, right? It's not with 4 kids plus your husband, for instance, there's 5 and then you're 6. I don't think it's wise to take them right away with you. So I would suggest for you to go ahead first and then save for a year, because you have to take care of their airfare yourself, right? And each kid, you are required to pay insurance for the kids and for the J2 husband, okay? But school there is free. Don't worry about school. It's free there, 100%, okay? Okay, so I think the challenges would be because the ages are different, they have different, like personalities. There are different, the behavior differs based on age. But I think the challenges are the same. When we get together, the kindergarten teacher is complaining about the class being rude, disrespectful, saying the F word. Imagine, that's kindergarten. And you hear the story from an elementary school teacher, the same story. Middle school teacher, same story. High school teacher, same story. So what is the thing? It's really about, the culture difference. So that is why somebody asked me before, should I apply as a middle school teacher? Because I feel like, because that teacher feels like teaching middle schoolers is easier than teaching high school students. But in the Philippines, it's actually teaching high school. So this was my suggestion. And I think this is, this is my opinion as well. If you are teaching high school in the Philippines, you should apply as a high school teacher in the US, because then at least you are used to the, behavior of that age range. So whatever adaptation you need to do is just based on culture. If you get what I'm saying, at least it's just the culture part of it, because really, if you also do not have any idea about the psychology of the middle schoolers, but you know the psychology of high schoolers, I think it's better to just stick with teaching high school students. Okay? Not because they're younger, they're easier to teach, right? So it really depends. I think if you are trained to be a high school teacher and your experience is with high school students, go there as high school teacher. Okay? Can Mike, maybe I'm missing some, please share common questions. I'm sorry, I'm looking at the questions and see if I have answered all of them. Daldal ko kasi. Dami kong chika. So I think I saw about, can my kid study in the same school? Something like that. Okay. The thing about schools there, public schools, you go to the school that is within your zone. Okay? So if you are living, if your address is within the zone of the school, then your child can study at your school. Right? So, but for instance, for me, my school is, I'll give you just a sample. This is the zip code, 3805, 32805, the zip code of my school. But where I live is 32825. There are high schools there. So that's how it works there. You cannot just go to any school you like. So it is, you may be allowed if you request, but I don't think so. I think they will follow the zoning rule. So again, if you live within the same zone as your school, then your kids may study in that same school where you're teaching. But if you live in an entirely different zone, it may be a challenge. I don't know if they will allow you to have your child attend your same school. I couldn't see the other question. Hindi po pinakatay mo sino. Hindi naman. Okay. I taught junior and senior high school there, right? So, they're 17, 18 years old, 16, 17 to 18 years old. They're my students. So like I said, it's only difficult in the beginning because you still don't know what to do. You don't know their culture yet. So you have challenges in the beginning, but if you work smart, make sure to change things, they're fine. I had, good friends, students there. Lagi sa umpisa lang, it's only difficult in the beginning. It doesn't matter what school age. That's based on my experience because, you know, like I said, when we get together, kindergarten teacher, elementary school teacher, middle school teacher, high school teacher, they all have the same complaints. But towards the end of the school year, we don't complain anymore, meaning we already know what to do, meaning we already know how to, you know, deal with those students. It's just in the beginning. So, yeah. J1 teacher, you can go to the Philippines back and forth as long as your visa is not expired, right? So remember, J1 visa is for 3 years. So now after 3 years, you cannot leave the US anymore because your visa is expired. Okay, it's risky to apply visa after the 3 years because what if your visa application got rejected? Then you can't come back to the US, right? But during your visa there for 3 years, you can go back and forth during Christmas vacation if you want to go on vacation to the Philippines during summer break. Yeah, to get your kids, you're fine. You can go to China, wherever you want to go. You can go back and forth, yeah. Okay, so grade 7. So I would suggest that you, what's that, grade 7 is middle school. Is it middle school? Right? Middle school, correct? And grade 11 is high school. Actually, it's really up to you po. English kasi yan eh. So, there's English class from kinder through high school. ELA, that's what they call it there. English Language Arts. So yeah, you can try. But Ma'am Pink, with EPI requires English teachers to have completed their master's degree. So I would suggest that you try other visa sponsors like FACES, TPG, because EPI requires, again, if you're applying as an English teacher, they want you to have completed your master's degree, not just master's credits like earned. No. Visa, J1 visa is for 3 years. What is renewed yearly is the contract with the school. So again, your visa is 3 years, but it doesn't guarantee that you will be rehired by the school every year. So reappointment is done yearly. So the teacher in the US around, again, January to March, they will receive letter from the principal if they are being reappointed or not. But J1 visa is 3 years. H1B is also 3 years. I haven't heard of that before. 1 year. So if your visa is, J1 visa is marked 1 year, you should ask your visa sponsor about it. Kasi lugi ka, 1 year lang. Di ka pa nakabayad, mautang mo nan. Diba? Yung visa sponsor po yearly. No, the program fee is for the entire program, per teacher. They don't pay yearly. So there are many other J1 visa sponsors. I will post this here. And so you can, so the link there, is it? I posted a link. That link is the list of all the J1 visa sponsors in the US. So you will see EPI there. There's TPG and many others. Now, for those who might be interested with H1B, okay, yan naman, that's the H1B visa sponsors. So like I said, H1B is a better visa, but it's also more difficult to obtain. If you have not subscribed to my YouTube channel yet, I have vlogs there about how and where to look for visa sponsors and the employers. I have their tips about interview. I have there the pros and cons. About teaching in the U.S. versus Philippines. I have their salary expenses, things like that. So if you have time after this, I suggest that you go over to my YouTube channel. Please subscribe. Okay, no new questions, I suppose. I hope I'm not skipping other questions that you have asked. So while waiting for you, okay, we have 3 minutes. Okay, so yeah. Wow, thank you, Pink. Okay, doon din, no? Um, they're not like, you know how the principals here, school officers from the district, I don't know how they're called here, from DepEd, if they come to school, the students are like, behave. They're scared of the principal. It doesn't matter if you're the school principal, if you're the assistant principal. No, they're like treating you like you're a regular person they see outside. You don't expect them to behave if your principal is inside your classroom? No. Okay, so what happens? So, I can speak for EPI. With EPI, if the teacher did not get renewed by the school, EPI will help the teacher to look for another school because EPI sends teachers to 4 different states, diba? South Carolina, North Carolina, Georgia, and Virginia, and Florida, and many different districts. So if you're not renewed for the next school year, they will help you find a new school. So next school year, you could be working at another school, same district, or you can be working at another district, or it can be another state. So that's the good thing about EPI because they have been in the business for a while. They have been established. They have lots of connection. They can help you find new school. O kaya talagang best foot forward. Again, you don't have to be the best teacher there as long as they see you trying your best, as long as you're not, being like, absenteeism, problem, and tardiness. They will help you. The school will renew you. You don't have to be a perfect teacher. So all of us, we were renewed. I know, not all of us, but those who were not renewed, they were able to find new school in another state. With EPI, I'm not sure with other visa sponsors. Okay, we have a minute left. Yeah, we started this live at 2 p.m. We are on our second hour. And I got disconnected right about like after 1.5 hours. And then I reopened the live. Yes, yeah. If you are on H-1B or J-1 visa, as long as your visa is not expired, you can leave the U.S. to go anywhere you like and come back without problem. Okay? Yay, 4 p.m. Okay, thank you very much for joining my Facebook Live. I really appreciate you asking questions. If you were shy to ask question here because everyone's seeing the question, you can send me private message. And also, again, if you haven't subscribed to my channel yet, I invite you to do so. There are so many resources there that I know will be helpful to you. I know they will be helpful because I made those vlogs based on my experience. Okay? Maligayang Pasko! Yay! Thank you again. Bye! I'll see you when I do another Facebook Live. Thank you po.